Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Relationship Communications Weekly Live. Thank you for coming. Um, I'm thrilled that you are here with me. And for those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Lisa DeToffol, and I'm the founder of Relationship Communications. It's my online community where I work with established and aspiring entrepreneurs. And today I'm going to be your host for the Relationship Communications Weekly Live, which is my weekly live stream show that airs every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So I do hope you'll add that to your calendar so you can join us. And if you are joining us live, please do say hello and let me know where you're coming in from. I would love to hear that. And my goal here is to share tactical and practical information to help you get where you want to go faster than you can get on your own. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years. I've made many mistakes, and I'm here to tell you I can help you move through them more quickly by sharing what I have learned through my experiences. So, again, if you're joining me live, let me know that you're here and where you're coming in from. And we are streaming various different places all over Facebook and, of course, on our YouTube channel. So, if you are joining us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button or ring that bell so that you can be notified every time that we do go live. So today we're going to have part 3 of successfully setting boundaries with clients. The past 2 weekly lives, I have done part 1 and part 2. So today is part 3. We will finish this topic out today. However, before we do that, I would like to introduce myself. So back in 2017, when I was a preschool teacher, I had dreamed of working from home, but I had been through 2 messy divorces and been a single mom twice, and it didn't seem possible. I was the breadwinner for my household, and I was scared to take that chance and go out and do anything on my own. Then I had met my current husband, Jeff, in 2012, and that is when I started to see the possibility of my dream coming true. However, it was not an easy task. With Jeff's support, I started a training program to learn how to be a virtual assistant in 2018, which also showed me how to start my own business. So by the end of that program, I had a couple of clients and have continued to grow my business and the Tiger Eye Solution team that was created in 2021 every single year. But my life looks a whole lot different now than it did back then. This is my husband, Jeff, our children, Caleb, Matthew, and Alyssa, and our grandchildren, John Price, Hattie, and Anakin. The twins are now 2, and Anakin will be a year old in just a couple of weeks later this month. So they are a joy to have around for sure. Never know what's going to happen next, right, with little ones. So let's dive into our topic, setting yourself up for success. We've talked about the boundaries. So now let's talk about being proactive about it. When you are proactive about your boundaries, you're setting yourself up for success. So let's talk about the discovery call or free consultation call, whatever you like to call it. During this call, there are certain phrases that you use. You're not trying to get hired at that given moment. What you are trying to do is figure out if you are a good fit, if you like them, and if you like the work that they are requesting or asking you to do. And if you have products, of course, you may go about this a different way. I'm using my business, the virtual assistant business, for example in this. So as we go through this, do keep that in mind. So again, you want to figure out if they are a good fit for you and your business, if you like them, and if you like the work that they are requesting you to do. And if you have time to do the work, as a virtual assistant, and if your calendar fills up, like mine does sometimes, you may or may not have the time to do the work that specific client is asking you to do. And then you tell them about you, and you might not be a good fit. If you've determined that, no, this person is not a good fit for me to work with, maybe you can recommend them to someone else. I do that a lot sometimes if I figure out I'm not a good fit to work with that specific person. or if the work they're requesting me is not a good fit for me or my team, whatever the case may be. So I'm certain that there are more people that, has not hired me versus the people that have hired me. And it could be that we're not a good fit, or we're not ready. Sometimes you may have a consultation or discovery call with someone, and after they get to talking to you, they may discover that they're not ready to work with you. In my case, a virtual assistant, right? Because that's the type of business that I have. I've talked about this before. The potential client has or has not been ready to work with you. And it's okay if they're not ready to move forward at that given moment. You definitely want to put them on your follow-up list, right? So that you can stay in contact with them, and that when they do get to that point to where they're ready to work with you, you'll be the first person they think of and they'll contact you, right? So they have to be ready to share everything needed for you to do the work. It is their decision, because they have to change how they're working, and that's a big deal. It really is a big deal for some people. So, sometimes when they talk to someone who can actually help them, they realize they're not ready. Maybe they're not ready to give you all that information that you're going to need to move forward. Or maybe they're not ready to actually hand over specific tasks. Maybe they thought they were, but they're really not. And that's okay. However, you can make them aware and let them know that you're here whenever they are ready, right? That yes, you can help them with XYZ, whatever it is, but you're not going to push them into a decision. They have to make that decision on their own, right? So just let them know that when they are ready to move forward, that you'll be here and ready to work with them, right? So sometimes when you talk to someone that you can actually help, again, they realize they're not ready, and that's okay. So you may want to handle your free consultation or discovery call by saying things like, if we decide to work together. In other words, let them know that that decision has not yet been made. That by the end of that call, by the end of that call, that yes, that decision probably will be made. That yes, they're a good fit. No, they're not a good fit. Whatever the issue, case may be. I have done that for certain clients, tell them if we decide to work together. The word clients even implies that you have a business and that you want them to see you as a business person. Okay. You want to be clear about your pricing whenever you share about your pricing for your services, products, whatever it is. Say, this is how much I charge. And this is, what I recommend for the work that you're requesting me to do. And that's how it works. It's not a negotiation. It's not them saying a specific number and you agreeing to it. That's not how that works. You should already have your pricing in place before you ever get on the call, and stick to your guns, because some people may try to negotiate with you. But don't let the negotiation take place. Say, this is how much I charge. If we move forward, this is what you'll have to pay me. Right? Like I said, don't let them choose the number. Like, okay, $25 an hour or whatever. If that's not your rate, then you say, no, this is what I charge an hour. Say it's $50 an hour, whatever it might be. Then you tell them. And if they say, how do you charge? You can jump right into that as well. So I jump in and I explain, I have a debit card system that I use for my business. And I explain to them how that works. It's really simple. And I go into the explanation of exactly how it works, all the things. Because it doesn't matter how much they want to pay. What matters is how much you charge and if you like them. If you have the right to make that decision if you actually want to move forward and work with them or not. Okay. So I want to say this. It probably seems like it's easy, for me sitting here and making money to be choosy. And there have been times when I've worked with people who were not a perfect fit for the money, especially in the very beginning when I first started my business. Yes. I've only lowered my rate for a couple of people, and there were circumstances, etc., things of that nature that went along with that. I adjusted rates like $60 to $70 or whatever. They wanted 60. I said yes, and I worked with them for over 2 years, for 10 hours a month because I needed to pay the bills, right? And it was not good. It wasn't a good relationship. Yes, I could do the work. I enjoyed doing the work, but just working with them was not a good fit. And I knew the person, and I knew it wasn't going to be good. And even though I tried to make it work or make it good, it was not fabulous. Then I stopped working with them as well. And they were a very big client. They gave me a lot of work. The payments, that they brought in were very large as well. All the things. But as soon as I released them, my calendar filled up with better clients, which made me happy, of course. And, even paying me more money. People took notice and shared. I was like, a different person. Sometimes you just have to deal with it, but you can decide you're done with a client if you need to, or if you want to. In some cases, depends upon the situation, of course. So you want to set up your discovery call or free consultation call. You want to set it up for success. Okay. You want to be in charge of it. You don't go in like, how much am I going to say? I charge, follow the system that you already have in place. Pick your rate. If you already have rates in place, then that's the rate you share. This is what I charge an hour. This is how it works, blah, 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 blah. Right? Let them prepay you. So for over 200 people that have said yes to me, to work with me, no one has ever said no to my system once I explain how it works, okay? They may have said no to working with me, and I have said no to working with them, but no one has ever said they don't like my system. Most of the time, they're impressed with my system, to be honest, okay? So we're going to talk about your welcome email. Some of you may have this for your business. Some of you may not, depending upon what type of business you have. For my virtual assistant business, I have a welcome email, okay? So I'm going to show you an example of part of mine in a minute. The welcome email sets the tone. It tells them when you're working, when you're not, how to get in touch with you, all the things. It's like the rules of the road, so to speak, okay? So you want to make sure you send them this email as soon as they sign up to work with you, okay? So they will have all that information. So you want to be careful on how you conduct yourself when you work with people. A lot tend to relax a little bit. Relaxing is fine, but you don't want to cross the line of being casual, okay? You are a professional. You want to present yourself and come across as a professional, okay? I'm in a room sometimes with the client for over an hour at a time. We work very closely. We email, all day. It's like, and an intentional business relationship, right? And that's what you want to have with your client, an intentional business relationship. They confide in me, tell me all the things about their business, things about their working relationship, blah, 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 all the things, right? And we have helped with all kinds of things throughout their business. So we have access basically to the back of their business. Confidentiality, of course, is way up there, right? Especially when you have a lot of information about someone else's business. If you work a business like I do, a virtual assistant business, you're going to have access to other people's business, and you're going to have information to their business as well. But there is confidentiality rules in place for that very reason. Now, your business may not work like that. If you have, a completely, totally different kind of business, and that's okay. Or if you have a product-based business, that's okay as well. However, when you are selling products, if you have a product-based business, you definitely don't want to, there is confidence that needs to be had when purchasing. If they give you their credit card information or, whatever the case may be, when they go to purchase something from you, that also has to be kept confidential. So there is confidentiality pieces in every type of business. You just have to determine, where they are with your specific business. Okay. So sometimes, you're, like I said, you're all up in the back end of their business or in their business or whatever. And sometimes, we're in their personal life as well, depending upon that person. But we're always professional. Always stay professional. I don't cross that line. I really don't. So if they ask about, your weekend, you respond, oh, it was great. I got to spend some time with my family. Plain and simple. You don't go into a lot of details of, oh, we went boating this weekend, or, we went to a wedding this weekend, or, whatever the case may be. You don't go into a lot of details. Just keep it plain and keep it simple. Or if it's something as simple as, I cleaned my car, or I cleaned out my closet, you could say something to that. It was so much fun. And then that's it. Give them brief descriptions, okay? Never complain. Never bring your stuff to the call. None of that. So it creates that professional relationship. So that it's like, if I get too personal, I'm opening that door of them crossing my boundary lines, right? So you do not want to get on the too personal side. And I don't really want to hear about bad stuff that's happened, so I don't want to open that door for them to start sharing as well about X, Y, and Z that's going on in their life. That's none of my business, to be frank, right? What's going on in their personal life with their spouse, their children, whomever, that's really none of my business, because I'm a professional and I'm working with them on a professional basis, right? But, if they do happen to tell me, I would listen, but I don't want to invite that type of a conversation, right, into that discovery call or a consultation call. So what you bring is important. So think about how you're conducting yourself when you're having those conversations, because people follow your lead. Okay. So if you keep yourself professional, they're going to keep the conversation professional too. If you keep what you're saying on a professional level, then they're going to keep what they're saying to you on a professional level as well, which is very beneficial. Okay. So, make sure, you're leading in the direction you want that call to go. Okay. So, remove the emotion is similar to don't take it personally. We spoke about that in a previous weekly live, where you're in situations that you don't love for whatever reasons. Someone is bumping up against your boundaries. Okay. When you communicate with them, you don't want to be emotional. So make sure, if John Smith called you after hours, like we spoke about last week, and it really upset you, you got mad, all those things, make sure you don't take those emotions to the conversation when you do actually talk to him. Okay. Make sure you've taken time for yourself. You've taken time to calm down before you actually get on a call and speak with him, whether it's a phone call or a Zoom call. Make sure you've handled your emotions before you try having a conversation. Okay. So, again, you don't want them bumping up against your boundaries. So when you communicate with them, you don't want to have that emotion again. Okay. So when I find the client who was condescending, like we spoke of last week, I didn't use any feeling words. It was, I have decided that it's time to end our working relationship. I'm willing to work for the next month on a transition plan. Let me know when you're available to meet, Lisa. That's the type of email that I would send to that person. Okay. None of you actually did this. I did that, blah, blah, blah. So make it short, make it sweet. Well, it's not really going to be sweet if you're parting ways with them, but make it professional. Say exactly what it is you have to say and don't say anymore, basically. Okay. Did I rant to my friends because I was upset and mad? Yes, probably so. But, not to the client themselves. They don't get to see that. What I mean is that's too personal for that relationship. The relationship I have with the client is a professional relationship. So they don't get to see my feelings, my emotions. Okay. So it's kind of an honor when your friends let you blow up at them, so to speak, when you're upset or mad or whatever about a client situation, or about what's going on. The client doesn't get that. They don't get to know how I feel anymore because they crossed a major boundary. Okay. I will take a lot of stuff, but I will not take condescending. Okay. No matter what day of the week or who it is, I'm not available for that. I'll take mad. I'll take crying. I'll take a lot of stuff, but not that. Okay. When I've had to say other things as well, even if someone writes me an email or social media posts, I think, okay, this is where they are. It's not where I am. How do I want to address that? Right? And when I'm writing these things, I think about them as if they're a billboard, because these days they could be on a billboard, who knows? So I'm very careful about that in my business relationships with business situations. Okay. I'm not feeling, I'm reporting. This happened, then this happened. This is my suggestion. It's not that I'm not friendly. I just don't say I'm sorry unless it's absolutely necessary, right? They hired me to do a job. I'm going to do a job. They may or may not like the results of that, but I did exactly what they asked me to do, right? I'm not used to that in business, saying I'm sorry, because normally clients are pleased and happy with the results that they get from the work that has been done. Okay. So I try to be more, professional about it and remove all that emotion. Leave it somewhere else. My team members see a lot of my emotion instead of clients. So yeah. Okay. This is the part of the welcome email. So this is the beginning. I'm so excited you're working with me, blah, 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 blah. But here is the part that is setting me up for success. Most of the time, I'm in my office and available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to speak with me, please feel free to call at any time during those hours. I share my phone number. If I can't pick up the phone at that moment, please just leave a message and I'll get in touch with you as soon as possible. Can also be reached via email. I check my email many times during the day. You may not hear from me right away after sending an email, but I'm monitoring it for emergency and quick requests. For more routine work, you usually hear from me by the end of the day or certainly within 24 hours. If you'd like to schedule a call or a working session, you can easily do that on my website, and I include the website, also found under the contact tab on my website. If you're not sure how much time to reserve, I recommend erring on the side of too much. And don't worry, your debit card will only be charged for the time we use. You can also send an email to me requesting a working session if needed. And then last thing, please don't use text to send me work requests. They're too easy to lose or overlook and can't reliably be entered and tracked in my work queue. So that's part of my welcome email that they get. And the phone number part they can send me as part of the onboarding as well, and they get put into my phone as soon as they send me this information. They also get a questionnaire that comes with this welcome email to give me all the information I need from them, their business, etc. before we get started. So like I said, I put their phone number into my phone so that when they do call or send a text, I can see that it is a client. So I talk, can I talk? Do I want to talk? Is this a good time to talk? Sometimes I take their call, sometimes I don't. Depends on what I'm doing. I actually ask those questions because let's say a client called me at 9:59 and I'm getting ready to do a live stream at 10. Like this live stream here is at 10 o'clock every single Friday. Say I had a client trying to call me at 9:59 right before I get on this live stream. I'm not available to talk, right? I don't have time to jump on the phone with the client before I'm getting on this live stream. This live stream has already been prepared and planned, etc. So I'm going to move forward with my live stream and I'll call that client back later, right? Like I said, that's not a good time to answer the phone because, I'm going to be saying I got to go. Instead, I will call them back later. And if they text me and something bad happened, I would stop what I was doing and say, I will call you at 11. That way I know I'm done with my live stream and I have time to talk to them at that time. So now they know I saw their message and it's all good. I tell them to call me, if I call them and get their voicemail or something, I will tell them to call me back that I am free. I'll tell them exactly the amount of time I still have free to talk if they would like to return my call. So, if they ask, can I call you? I respond, yes, you can call me if I'm available. Or I might not answer, but you can call, read more, If I can't pick up the phone, there's so much, it's just kind of common sense in some ways, right? But people aren't thinking about it. They just don't. They just want to pick up the phone and say, hey, Lisa, can you do blah, blah, blah? Or I need you to do blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great that you need me to do that. I can't do that right this second. I'm busy with something else, right? Or I might ask them, okay, how soon do you need that? Can I get that to you by next Tuesday? Give myself some time to make sure I can work that into my schedule and get it completed, right? So I do have some clients who are anxious, about hearing from me. So if I get the email, when I see it, I will look at it quick and hit reply. Thanks, I'll get back to you about this, or have this for you later today, or something of that nature. Because clients are anxious. they're wondering, did she get the info? Did she see the email? Did she read it? All the things. Is my newsletter going to go out on time? Is she going to have it ready to go out on the date it needs to go out on? All the things, right? So it's better to say, got it, thank you, and move on, right? Or if they want to schedule a call, I'll say, go give them the link to the website, go over to my website, schedule a call, and let's discuss this or whatever. I don't have time, to go to my scheduler and all that kind of stuff. They can do that on their own. Do not, some clients, may not know where to find things, like if it's in their Google Drive already, you kind of have to explain that to them. Or scheduling time with me wouldn't hurt, so I can explain this to you, that kind of thing. So I don't want them to have to walk through all the hoops, right? And, when that happens, I try to make it as easy on them as possible. Okay. So, and sometimes, when they send me things, I may be taking a break and going for my daily walk. If they send me something at 2:30, I get a text while I'm on my daily walk from John Smith saying, can you get this done ASAP? I'm like, no, I can't. I'm on my daily walk. Let me get back to my desk. That kind of thing. But I will make myself a note, because sometimes I'll forget, right? Especially if I'm on my walk. By the time I get back to my desk, I'm going to possibly be forgotten that John Smith sent me a text with information in it, or he wants me to call him, or he, whatever the case may be. So, or, by the time I get back to my desk, the text could be gone because I've already had 10 other people text me about something. So I may or may not even see that. And I probably, touched it because it came in at a certain moment or whatever, and it was new, and it doesn't have to, didn't want it to say unread or anything like that. And it's really bad if the phone number isn't in my phone, right? So that's why I always add their phone numbers. As soon as we start working together, I add their phone numbers to my phone. And, so that I do have their numbers, so that I'm not lost by the time I get back to my desk after they've sent me a text or whatever. But, if that does happen, by the time I do get back to my desk, I have no idea about that text. That's old news, right? I've moved on to other things. And then that client is going to get upset, right? Because they know they texted me or called me or whatever, but they called or texted me at a time that I could not take care of whatever it was. I was doing something else. So I will tell them, if they want to text me, to look into my inbox, or shoot me an email with that same information. Don't just send me a text message. And they can do that. And that's not sending me work. Because, sending me work in a text, it's probably not going to get done. Or if they do text me and I got a quick minute to respond, I'll ask them, can you shoot me this information in an email? Because I know when I get back to my desk, I'm going to be checking my emails, right? So if John Smith sent me an email, I'll see it, instead of it just getting lost in my text messages, right? If you have any questions or comments about what I shared today, please do reach out. Again, everything I shared was based on a virtual assistant business. I always use my own business as the example in the information that I share. So, if you have questions maybe of what it would look like for your specific business, if you want to discuss that, that's perfectly fine. I'll be happy to discuss that with you. I also want to invite you to our next networking mixer. Relationship Communications has a monthly networking mixer, and June 24th is our next networking event at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you would like to attend, I will be sharing the information in the Facebook group. If you're not part of the Facebook group, head on over to Facebook, put Relationship Communications in the search bar, and you will find the group. It's free to join. There's almost 600 members in there, so there's a lot of people in there to network with. And if you are already a member, please do put this event on your calendar and make plans to attend, because networking helps grow your business for sure. I've actually been networking some this week myself, and I have met some amazing new people that I hope to get conversations with and collaborate with, or possibly even work with. You never know where those relationships can go with new people that you meet at networking events. So I invite you to join us on June 24th at 6 p.m. And join the group if you haven't already. Again, if you have any further questions, please send me a private message or an email, lisa@tigereyesolution.com. See you again soon.